Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the business edition, and we will also conclude with some Sillyville. Be an exciting show, so stick on by. We'll go ahead and begin with a couple of updates. Tesla bows to pressure from the NHTSA and issues a recall on Models S and Models X. This has to do with the infotainment system bugging out after 4 years of use. This has to do with them having a NAND drive that is collecting and harvesting so much data, it's rewriting itself thousands and thousands of times, and the NAND chip burns itself out. And when that happens, because it's a Tesla and absolutely everything is run on the computerized infotainment system, the entire car crashes into nothingness, which might explain some of the issues. So there is now officially a recall on 135,000 Models S and X vehicles due to the design defect that bricks the EV's infotainment systems within 4 years of driving. It affects the Model S sedans built between 2012 and 2018 and the Model X SVUs between 16 and 18. Owners should be notified by the automaker in the month of March. So this is basically recalling. Hopefully they're just fixing those and getting them back out. Maybe without collecting so much data next time. This is why I have zero interest in Tesla. Ooh, it's a cool electric car that is literally tracking and tagging everything and sending it on back to a company to analyze and use as it wishes. No, thank you. I'm not exactly interested in such crap. Next update is from Comcast. Comcast is delaying the rollout of the 1.2 terabyte data caps that would have hit 12 states in March. No notice if they're rolling back any of the other ones, but basically they bowed to the Pennsylvania Attorney General. See, this is the great part about living in Pennsylvania. I always said I will be the last to be data capped, and that's exactly what's going to happen. They were trying to data cap the rest of us, including Pennsylvania, but the Attorney General of Pennsylvania said to Comcast, our entire state is shut down and we're forcing kids and workers to all work from home, have school from home, and do everything from home. You will not be doing a data cap. And Comcast's like, all right, we'll hold back. So good news. The data cap is set to go into July. Maybe that means that by July, we won't be under all these lockdowns. But being as the insane government we have in Pennsylvania, I'm not exactly holding my breath on that one. Not to mention the lunatics in the asylum called DC. But nevertheless, they are going to be rolling that out in July instead of March. So we get a few months reprieve. Maybe this will go on further. But if you haven't seen anything, and I looked at my bill because they were supposed to tell you if you go over, I saw no indication on my last Comcast bill any amount of data usage. And so, hey, I have a couple more months to figure out how to log my own data on pfSense, which I'm pretty sure it can do. I just haven't looked into it yet. So we'll see what happens with that. Stop the Cap. This is a lobby group that is fighting ISPs with data caps and things. And Mediacom, which is an ISP, I guess, in the Midwest, they are warning people. They took the top 0.05% of their users who are, they're not even coming close to half of their data cap, but they have a lot of upload time. And because they have so much upload time, Mediacom is telling them, you need to cut that down or we're going to cancel your service, or I can't remember if it's cancel service or bill you a lot more or something. And they're saying, hey, you guys have provided evidence that your service is not under stress. Why are you trying to data cap people as far as how much data they can upload? And that's really what's going on. So apparently some people are uploading a lot more. I'm curious what I'm uploading. I mean, I'm doing all these, I'm doing a lot of videos, a lot of different channels. We're doing, obviously, I'm not really doing many Zoom conferences. Every now and again, I have to do one. But I do some Jitsi conferences. So I probably have a lot of data coming in and going out of here. But we'll kind of see. We'll see what happens with that. But that's what they're up to. Google Play bans the Matrix client app Element, but then they reinstated it again. Basically, they came back and said, that's like banning a web browser. Sure, some people do crazy stuff on Matrix. Well, you banned us. So, but Element, though, is a good client. Now, I don't use it on a smartphone. I'm sure I probably could, but so far, I'm actually really liking using Element. And for me, I like the fact that it's, it's a good open source protocol. It's a federated protocol, decentralized, which that's the type of thing we need to resist the censorship and things. But Google Play originally banned it because apparently some people were doing creepy stuff on Matrix. And Element said, hey, we're just a web browser. We don't actually support any of the content. All we do is just make the interface to it. And so Google did put it back on the Play Store, but it's funny. Google takes off things like Element that's good and FOSS, and we know what they're doing, and they won't take down the stuff that's perpetually full of malware, which is quite exciting. And Jeff Bezos is stepping down from the CEO position of Amazon. Somebody asked my opinion about this earlier this week on Discord, and I said I really didn't have one. Had to think about it a little bit more. And now that I'm reading this is a bad thing. We need Jeff Bezos sticking right there because he says basically the CEO role is very taxing from day to day, and I don't have time to do the things that I would like to do. So I would rather keep Lex Luthor busy doing day-to-day tasks for Amazon than having the richest man in the world or the second richest man in the world, depending on where he and Musk are at today, doing the things that they want to do. He's right up there with Bill Gates on the creepy factor level. In fact, I should Photoshop him on into my picture of Bill Gates, George Soros, and Rothschild that I have over here on my wall. We should definitely include Lex Luthor in there, aka Bezos, because we do not need this guy with all of his insane wokeness and nonsense, with his weird and wacko ideas. Him and Gates getting together, that in and of itself spells the end of the world, guys. This is Lex Luthor right here. So he says he is stepping down by Q3, and Andy Jassy will be taking over the CEO position. He's the one that brought AWS up to success. No word who's taking over that. At least I didn't see it. And so he is maintaining the chairman of the board for Amazon position, but he's actually going to be using his time to fund all of his crazy woke pet projects. So prepare for the world to end, because I think that he's probably going to be bringing that upon because he's no longer distracted with the day-to-day tasks at Amazon. You've given a crazy person an infinite amount of money and the free time to do what he wants. And our last story, ransomware payments are falling as more victims refuse to pay. Well, it's kind of like we said this at the very beginning. If you guys don't pay the ransomware guys, they'll stop doing that crap. But as long as people are paying the ransomwares, hey, there you have it. So ransom payments by quarter. You can see here, Q3, almost nothing. They shot up in Q4 19. Of course, everyone goes online here with the COOF, and they can see they shot way up. And then here's average payment. And so the light blue line is the median payment. Okay, that's the median payment, and the average payment is up here. So you can see here, it really did a big peak up there in Q3 20 and Q4 20. It was back down to about $150,000 on payments. But of course, now a lot of insurance companies and such, they're not allowing, and a lot of legislation is not allowing people to pay these. And so probably as long as people are not being paid for this type of malware, chances are we're actually going to see, some people stop getting these types of attacks, at least not for money. We will always see them for the fun factor of it all. But that is the good news. Ransom payments are beginning to drop because people are no longer allowed or able or just not paying whatever it happens to be. So you can actually read through. The links for these, of course, are in the video description. If you'd like to help support the channel, have a look at my affiliates. Today we are talking about ExpressVPN. Shock of all shocks, I went through to get the actual details this time. You can connect up to 5 simultaneous devices, including a router, so that you can actually hook up your router, and everything on that home network through that router is going to be encrypted. You also have the ability with ExpressVPN, if you're using the app, not on the router, but if you're using the app, you have the ability to put some things, some traffic specifically through the ClearNet and some traffic specifically through the VPN. So those are some of the benefits of using ExpressVPN. They have servers in 160 locations, 94 different countries, and no bandwidth limits. Click on the Get Started button up here, and you can get a full year for $100, 6 months for $60, or 1 month for $12.95. Using my affiliate code TLM.li/EV will help support the channel. So let's go ahead and head on over to Sillyville. And on to Sillyville, there's a lot of things that people were expecting some snags going back to the office. But having 20,000 honeybees take over your tech company's office during lockdown, that's something you probably didn't really plan on. But these guys over here, they came in. Oh, no, I'm not interested in quartz at work. Oh, are they giving me some stupid crap like that? Yeah, all right. Well, I wanted to show you guys the giant picture, but these guys are going to be like, yeah, ad blocker. Yeah, screw you then. We're just going to say screw you. They had a giant honeycomb. They had 20,000 honeybees took over their tech company's office during the lockdown. And so it kind of prevents them going back to work for a little while longer. Well, if you played with Legos as a kid, Legos got you covered. The Lego company got together and put together these white noise backgrounds of playing with Legos. So if you guys are interested in any of that, you can grab them pretty much anywhere you can find them. Let me go ahead and unmute the desktop audio here. And is Spotify not going to work because of ad blockers or something? But let me go ahead and this was working in Spotify earlier. Here we are. So here's the sounds. This is called Built for Two. So basically, they just use piles of Legos and different people to record different white noise. These are all about 30 minutes in length. Here's Searching for One Brick. It all clicks together. Here's the Lego waterfall. Big-hearted bricks. And the Night Builder. So you can head on over. There's the link is here. You can get these. I think you can get them on like Apple and Spotify, a bunch of other places. The Spotify one there is linked right in the blog post. But now you can be listening to people playing with Legos in the background as white noise when you do other things. I mean, okay, all right, I'm on board. Why not? Well, Amazon is getting a new headquarters, and it basically looks like a giant glass poop emoji. Yet another one of these titles. It's probably more for the SEO clicks than anything else. But you got to admit, that does actually look like a giant glass turd in the sky, does it not? You can kind of see the... And now it wraps around. They have all these trees. I wonder if anybody at Amazon, these architectures, know that trees' root system goes as deep as the tree goes high. So this is kind of interesting. If a big old windstorm comes down and your tree gets knocked down from like the upper story, it's just going to cause a lot of damage when it crashes on down. But yeah, Amazon's headquarters too in Arlington, Virginia, they are getting a giant glass poop emoji. It's kind of a giant. Here's another picture from the cityscape there. Look at that. Oh man, that's like, is there a better metaphor for Amazon is going to come and take a turd on all of your workers? Oh joy, oh joy. This is rendering of the park. So this is the park at the front. This is the side of the poop headquarters on the right side there. And then we have, I guess, little parks and stuff down here. So there we have it. We always knew that Amazon was a pretty crappy company. Now their new headquarters is demonstrating that. How exciting. Well, AT&T's internet sucks. We all kind of know that. And this guy has had AT&T since 1960. My Lord. That must have been when the first telephones came out. The internet is so slow in his area. He ends up spending $1,000 to take out full-page ads in New York and Dallas, Texas, to basically say how bad their service is. So it says, "Dear Mr. Stanky," he stanks, CEO at AT&T, AT&T prides itself as a leader in electronic communications. Unfortunately, for the people who live in North Hollywood, California, 91607, AT&T is now a major disappointment. Many of our neighbors are in the creative technical workers in Universal, Warner Brothers, Disney Studios, to the adjacent city of Burbank and our city. We need to help keep up with current technology and have a look at AT&T supply us with fast internet. And so basically he takes out this full paid ad. Why in New York and Texas? Well, Dallas, Texas is where their company headquarters is. And he went to New York City in the hopes of swaying some investors away from Amazon, or to put leverage from the investors onto the company so that they can go ahead and put pressure on the company. So it's like, if AT&T really provides itself as a leader of electronic communications, maybe they can do a little bit better than one up where I'm at. All right. Just a thought. And finally, if you are starting an online class, go ahead and check to make sure your professor is actually still alive. As some of you know, I used to be a college professor, and I got the heck out of Dodge because I saw the writing on the wall a decade ago. And what we're starting to see now, in fact, the school where I did my bachelor's degree at, they actually are starting to lay off over half of their staff. The university is merging with the sister university. Now, here in Pennsylvania, we have what is called the state system of higher education, which consists of, I don't know, it's like a dozen-ish or so, about a dozen or so universities. They're all four-year university. Pennsylvania generally does, I don't even think they have any community colleges. Very weird. But they have the state system, which are almost as inexpensive as them, and the education is generally pretty good. But what they're doing is they're merging two of these together, and the reason you do that is for accreditation. If the two universities have different degree levels, now you can't just go in and announce, hey, we're creating a new degree. You can't even go in and announce, hey, you're creating a new class. I used to sit on the curriculum committee for one of the universities I taught at. We had to go in there and decide what is in a class, what exactly has to teach, how does it fit into the system, how does it conflict with other things in the system. There's a lot that goes into adding a simple class, let alone adding a degree program. So these two universities, and if I remember correctly, I think it's Edinburgh and Slippery Rock are merging. It might be Edinburgh and Clarion, I can't remember. But these two are merging together because what happens is they can merge their accreditations and merge their individual courses. But then what they're doing is they're laying off about half the staff in nearly every department. And then what they do is they bring on adjunct professors to pay up the slack. Here's the difference. As a full-time professor, now at Edinburgh, I think the pay is a lot lower. The universities I taught at one of the big Ivy Leagues, where they paid us really well. And I also taught at a community college in a very wealthy state where they also paid really well, which was shocking because it was a community college. And in those, they had to, like, their output for me as a faculty member was about $80,000 a year. That's with the benefits, with the taxes, with all of the different things. That's what it cost. But in adjunct, they're part-time, so you have pretty much no taxes, no insurance, no extra perks, no extra benefits, and then you pay them the lowest dollar for course. It ends up being somewhere to the effect of about $15 or $20 an hour per credit at most, which is an extraordinarily low wage. But now what colleges are starting to do is they're starting to merge out and get rid of the faculty. They're not replacing them as they retire. They're not bringing on as many new ones. And then they're just blanketing the world with adjunct professors. So much that I've actually worked with professors who were adjuncts at 3 separate universities, and they still were having trouble making ends meet. That's the type of place the world is going. So this guy gets on and he starts taking this course, and it's all video lectured courses, and he's getting into the course, and every time he's sending his professor a message, he's getting a good response back, but it's from a no reply email. So he starts looking this up, and he Googles his professor and finds his professor died a while ago. The university is still teaching this dead guy's classes from a while ago. This is called free education. They are charging the student an arm and a leg, and I'm pretty sure they're not paying the estate. Now, they had like a TA in there who was probably even paid like minimum wage at that point just to monitor stuff. But he finds that his college professor was dead. This is the reason I'm telling people, do not go to school unless you absolutely have to. And even then, go to the cheapest possible place you can, because your education is going to be about the same. You will get into your college, whether you're going to Harvard or whether you're going to the community college down the street, you are going to get out of your education exactly what you put into it. You can take that from a PhD, former college professor. You put good stuff in your degree, you're going to get good stuff out. You put garbage in your degree, you're going to get garbage out. Who is behind the line? It doesn't matter. 20 years ago, I had college professors who were teaching subjects they'd never looked at in their life before taking the professorship for their course. It's insane. When we were there in my undergrad, they were talking about doing a strike, and they're like, "Oh, don't worry, we're not going to impede on your education. If the teachers go on strike, you're still gonna have your classes." And my advisors telling all these students, go and tell the administration, no, you need to not allow the teachers go on strike, because you know what? The dean of the biological science where I'm at, I'm sure if I were taking Biology 101, he'd be a good job. I was a senior taking physical chemistry. I don't need a botanist trying to teach me physical chemistry stumbling through a textbook. I can stumble through the textbook myself. I would prefer a physical chemist in the classroom when I'm doing it, and I would actually prefer he's alive. So here's this university is actually utilizing the old videos of a dead professor. It's weird and scary. Let's see. Let me go read some of this, because this is just amazing stuff. 3 weeks in his online class on art history. At least it's art history. I mean, it's the dead guy from the grave coming back to teach history. I mean, he lived through it, right? At Concordia University, sophomore Aaron Ansuli, whatever, I'll call him Aaron, had a question about one of the recorded lectures. He combed through Concordia's portal but couldn't find his professor's contact information. So he Googled his name, Francisco Marcangan, and he found an obituary. At first, he thought it might be a coincidence. I was like, well, that's weird. It has the same name. But he Googled further, revealing more disturbing truth. In March 2019, over a year prior to the start of Aaron's course, he had passed away. When registering for the class, he received no indication that Gagnon was teaching posthumously. The syllabus named a different professor as the official instructor, but stated that Gorman would deliver the lectures. An arrangement was not uncommon for Concordia classes. All email communications had come from an unsigned do not reply address. For the first 3 weeks, Aaron had assumed these emails for Gagnon. The revelation has completely changed his class experience. I don't really even want to watch the lectures anymore, he said. Participating makes him sad. He tries to space out the lectures between other classes so he can take breaks. It doesn't even feel like a class. It feels like one of these websites like Skillshare. Past year has been a trial and error process for Aaron and millions of other college students around the world who are taking classes online to make COVID-19. Oh, Lord. I don't even want to keep reading. This is just insane. So, universities are the biggest garbage heap of insanity. Anymore, you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the number of people who get out of university with hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt and then have to turn around and work at Starbucks is staggering. I personally know people that are $250,000 in student loan debt. I know people that are $100,000 in student loan debt, and the best they can find is being a manager at Starbucks. Don't go to college unless you have to. When you have to, go as cheap as you possibly can and do everything you can and get out of there in 4 years. College is not an experience. It's not a place to extend your high school. It's not a place for drunken insanity. You go to college, you learn, you get in and you get out, and you do not take any more than 4 years to do that because you are wasting your time, you're wasting your money, and you are wasting your future. Get in and get out. It ain't about the experience, it's about the education. All right, I think I'm done ranting on the insanity of this. This is just insane. Well, if you'd like to help support what I'm doing in this incarnation of my life, have a look over at Patreon, and I promise I'm still alive. Hold one finger, two fingers, never mind. I can spoof that anyway. But anyway, you can head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/TOMM. That's Tom M. And this actually supports my Linux work, my writing work, and my Christian work as well. So you can jump on over there. And with that, guys, we'll leave it here. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of your weekend. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.